Hi everyone, in today's video we'll be looking at our relationship life in the astrological natal chart. So by understanding our relationship life, we better understand how we relate to others and where we stand in our relationships. So everyone has their own way of doing relationships, subconsciously and consciously. And there are two parts of the natal chart that you can look at in your own chart to better understand how you relate to others. This could be with your spouse, with your boss, or with your close friend. We're going to be talking about those two main parts, and we'll be looking at it in the actual natal chart as well to get a better idea of how they work together. So the two parts that I'll be looking at are the Venus placement and the 7th house. So the Venus placement reveals a lot around your approach to relationships and your mindset, both consciously, subconsciously, thought-wise and feeling-wise. And it's also your love language. So it's your way of relating to the other person and your perception of the other. The 7th house reflects the type of partner that you're drawn to and the overall experience of that as well, and how you relate to other people. But generally speaking, in marriage and in close relationships, it'll tell you a lot about the type of partner that works for you as well. So let's look at a chart to see how these work together. So here we've got a natal chart, and circled here we've got Venus, circled in red. So the house that Venus is placed in will influence your way of perceiving relationships. So in this example here, we've got Venus in the 4th house. So the 4th house represents our family life, our parents, and our upbringing. So for this individual, how they relate to other people and how they perceive relationships is going to have that family-oriented flavor to it. And depending on their upbringing, how they've seen mum and dad relate to one another and the family relate to one another as well, to each other, they're going to be able to relate to other people in a very similar way, whether it's positive or negative. And the sign that Venus is placed in, as you can see here, Venus, that's going to show how this individual will play this out. So since Venus is in the sign of Libra, its own sign, relationships for this person will be more positive and easier to deal with. So that's a nice thing. So let's move on to the 7th house. So the 7th house here is circled in red. This is the area of the type of relationships that we're attracted to, or the nature or the overall feel for them. So the cusp on the 7th house, shown by this symbol here of Capricorn, where Capricorn is, that's going to tell you a lot about the type of partner you're attracted to, especially a spouse. And any planets in the 7th house is going to add extra flavor to the overall experience, and also it's going to add more to your needs as well. So in this case, we've got the moon in the 7th house too, which is quite interesting. And the sign tells you a lot about the type of partner that you're attracted to, which I just mentioned. So in this example here, if you've got a Capricorn, if you've got the sign of Capricorn on the 7th house, you're most likely suited to someone that's mature, that's grounded, and that takes relationships very seriously. And if you have a planet in here, and we've got moon in Capricorn, it just shows that you need someone that's not only serious about the relationship, but they're emotionally available to you as well. And there's a sense of sensitivity there too. So that's very important. Now, interestingly, there's an aspect between Venus and Moon here. So for this individual, relationships are going to be a theme in their lifetime, because both these planets are in a square aspect. So aspects are another topic for another video, but they just show that both Venus and Moon are in a communication with one another. So you could say that an aspect is the link between how they perceive the relationship and what their experiences are. So their perception of relationships and their experiences of it are going to be a lesson for them. And normally a square aspect is a conflict there. So what they need to do is find a way to set apart their mindset of how they see relationships to the reality of the relationship itself. So that's how it works right there. And a good way to look at this is to view the seventh house, the area of the relationship, as the environment or the weather. Okay, so it's the weather around you, and the planets in the sign on the cusp of the seventh house will tell you the weather conditions. So that's a good way to actually perceive that. And Venus, which is how we perceive relationships, is how we perceive that weather. So, for example, if the weather in the seventh house is shiny, is sunny, and there's a low chance of rain, then Venus will take that as either positive or negative, depending on how that's configured. So that's a really good way to actually see how these two parts of the chart in relationships work together. So to better understand your relationships, your own relationships in your own chart, here are 2 steps that you can do. So step 1, find the placement of your Venus in the natal chart on the right here. So look at what sign and house it's placed in, and depending on the sign and the house, the qualities of the sign and the qualities of the house is going to mix into your perception of the relationship. Okay. Step 2 is to look at your 7th house. So look at the sign that's on its cusp. So again, so the cusp is shown here by Capricorn. This could be any other sign, could be Scorpio, could be whatever it is. But you need to look at that sign there. And you also need to look to see if there's any planets in that house as well. And that's going to fill in more about your relationship experiences. So there you have it. So again, we all have our own way of approaching relationships, and understanding of Venus in your 7th house is the very first step. And the condition of your Venus placement in your 7th house ruler and other factors reveal much more about how you play the relationship out. So this is a good starting point to better know yourself in that area of life. So that's all for this video. If you've got any questions or any comments, please feel free to put them below and I'll answer them. Please feel free to subscribe, like, and hit the notification button for more videos. And I'll see you soon.